since joining YouTube, I've always been a bit bemused by the amount of anger and emotional reactions atheists have over William Lane Craig. I guess since Craig is one of the most outspoken Christian philosophers and public debaters, this is to be expected. However, what is deeply concerning are the levels some atheists are willing to descend in order to try to discredit their opponents. Going back now to Thunderf00t's video entitled William Lane, 2 Citations Craig. It's kind of funny that exactly the same day Thunderf00t uploaded that video, this article appeared in the Guardian newspaper in the UK. Philip Bell accused it of being the academic equivalent of the stag's antlers. In other words, Dr. Mason is doing nothing other than dick measuring at this point. Then there are academic institutions which warn about the abuses of overly simplistic comparisons of H-index figures. Notice the advice here from the University of Southampton, which states that you can only compare values within a single discipline. Dr. Mason fails to heed this advice with his shoddy video. The article even points out that such a cross-discipline comparison might make an average medical researcher look good compared to a world-class mathematician. It's also interesting that the article picks out the humanities as an area to be wary of too. Another reason to beware of Dr. Mason's figures are that a couple of the papers which he cited had only just been published, but Dr. Mason doesn't bother to tell you this. So what happens when we take professional advice and compare Dr. Craig with only people in his own field? Well, the latest H-index comparison I could find in philosophy of religion was done back in 2007 and as one might expect, Alvin Plantinga was rated first. However, you will also notice Dr. Craig at 14th. In the top 20 on an H-index in your own field of study could well be worthy of saying something like world class. Going back to the professional advice about not comparing across subjects, perhaps we might be tempted to say that a naive comparison of H-index results might make an average scientist look better than a world-class philosopher. But of course, keep in mind that real academics don't like talking this way about themselves. I've certainly never heard a university professor quoting his H-index results to gain kudos. Notice the extremely highly regarded Linda Zagzebski up there alongside Craig. She commands tremendous respect in the subject, and yet most atheists will not have heard of her. This is why when Dawkins tells people not to be surprised if they've never heard of Craig, well, he's right, they shouldn't be. Unless you read lots of philosophy of religion or closely related subjects, you would never know who these people are. Also notice the atheist philosopher Michael Tooley, also rated 14th alongside Dr. Craig. Is Dr. Mason ready to accuse Michael Tooley of being an academic midget? I for one would love to see that video, but it's not going to be made and we all know why. On that same list, down in 32nd place, is an oft-cited atheist philosopher who again commands the highest respect in the philosophy of religion, Graham Oppy. Well, if Craig is a midget at 14th, is Oppy an intellectual teddy bear compared to Dr. Mason? One more interesting thing to notice is that in a highly regarded lighter blog, there was research done on the most discussed metaphysicians, and alongside names such as Kripke, Carnap, Strawson, Descartes and Maudlin was William Lane Craig. This is interesting because metaphysics is not even Craig's main field. The resounding theme of my research is that you can find lots of YouTube popular level atheists who don't read philosophy criticising Craig. What you won't find is too many people within the philosophy of religion, or within philosophy more broadly, doing such criticisms of Dr. Craig. I think I have more than responded to the trite accusations commonly thrown at Dr. Craig, but especially the videos by Thunderf00t and DPR Jones. And my suggestion to both of them is to start doing some real academic work in the field. Why is it that no academics in philosophy of religion are talking about Thunderf00t or DPR Jones? Is this the best that they can do in responding to a genuine academic? If so, then I genuinely feel very sorry for both of these guys. Here to conclude are some quotes from real academics about Craig.
Well, I've only had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Craig once. We were on a panel together at the Christian Book Expo in Dallas the other day. But it was a large and unwieldy panel, so I didn't get a sense of his form. But I can tell you that my brothers and sisters and co-thinkers in the unbelieving community take him very seriously. He's thought of as a very tough guy, and very rigorous, very scholarly, very formidable. And I say that without reserve. I mean, I don't say it because I'm here. Normally I don't get people saying, good luck tonight, you know, kind of thing, and don't let us down, you know. But with him I do.
He's the author of over 30 books and over 100 peer-reviewed articles in philosophy and theology. I'm just going to mention a couple of those books. The Cosmological Argument from Plato to Leibniz, that's actually my own copy, dated 1980. I got it when studying the B.Phil here, studying philosophy of religion under Basil Mitchell. And it was clear even then that Bill's book was a new landmark in discussion of the cosmological argument.
My thanks to the organisers of this debate for the invitation to take part. I'm genuinely honoured to be sharing the stage with Professor Craig this evening.
Just very lastly, I'd like to point out, if you look at the Wikipedia article that Thunderf00t himself gave you a little quotation from at the top of the article, if you go down to the bottom of that article, you will find 10 criticisms of the H-index. Two of the most important listed there being that the H-index does not consider the context of citations. So in other words, your citations might be negative ones. They might actually be citations where, you know, you're being pointed out that you have made complete and utter fallacies. So a citation does not necessarily indicate anything about the performance of that academic. The H-index can be manipulated through self-citations as well. This is one huge problem that the H-index has. So citing yourself, if that makes it into the statistics on an H-index, that's also highly problematic. Also, you don't need to be any kind of philosopher of note to notice that if you're really genuinely suggesting that your prowess on an H-index gives you some kind of esteem as an academic, really you are making a very obvious ad populum fallacy, and this is just plainly obvious. So, in summary, Thunderf00t, thank you for playing the game of popularist philosopher once again. We are getting very, very bored with especially atheistic scientists trying to have a go at this genre of thinking. Really, you're gonna need to work on it. I strongly suggest that you find yourself some very basic introductions to how to do philosophy and how to think in other ways other than scientific ways, because as things stand, Thunderf00t, you're embarrassing me. You're a fellow Brit, and frankly I find it embarrassing that you could be this absurd.
But that's not really an argument.